Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. And it is day 16 of the Affirmations Challenge. And I am so excited to be here with you today. Good morning. Who am I? Who am I? Just in case you do not know who I am Angela Beasley. I am a medical, well, not medical. I am not a medical professional. I am a mental health professional. I work with the addicted populations, and I am your host for this challenge. Now, why am I doing this? Why am I trying to emphasize positive affirmations? Because I understand the implications and the impact of our thoughts turn into things. Our thoughts impact our emotions, which impact our behaviors, and then the way that we show up in life. And when we can shift our minds into positivity, we can change our lives. So, I wanted to encourage you to shift your mind into positivity. So, that's who I am. Now, let's talk about what or who do I have today. Okay, today I have a special guest. His name is John McCann. He's a realtor, he's a creative. Those are only two descriptive words of who he is, but I'm excited to have him here on today. Let me bring him on up. John, good
Hey,
morning.
what's up, Angie B? How are you?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I am super excited to be here with you and everyone else today. And I love the message. I love what you're doing. Mindset is so huge, and
Yes.
I'm excited to share it with everyone today.
I'm excited to have you here. And again, I want to thank you for your yes. When this vision came into place, kind of came late, but everything came together. And thank you for coming on today.
No
So,
problem. Glad to be here.
yes, let's hop into it. Let's hop into it. So, John, you are, as I stated, there are more descriptive words for the who that you are, but some are creative. I remember at one point in time you were doing Nave, your clothing brand,
Yes, yes,
and then you were having something called Vintage Nights, and that
yes.
was a big, big deal in the city. I miss Vintage Nights. I thought about it the other day.
I miss them
It
too. I
was
might have to bring them back.
You may. It was a sense of community of like-minded people, and
Yeah,
community is so important. But and then you became a pastor, right? So you've
yes.
always walked in that role of pastor. So I don't want to say you became a pastor,
Hmm.
but now you're in the realm of real estate. Take
Yeah.
us through that journey.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Like you said, I started with Nabe, which was a clothing brand. It was a social responsible brand that I started a couple years after college, and the purpose of the brand was to help pay it forward through our clothing. And it was a great vision that God gave me, and I enjoyed it. And there was really where I was able to express a lot of creativity on the business front. We did events, we did photo shoots, videos, advertising, marketing, trying to come up with creative ways for packaging. We did the whole 9 yards, and we had different NFL players. We had a lot of people wearing it, and it was such a huge chapter in my life, and a huge chapter in the city. So many people supported it. We had thousands of people just over the years that would come out to our events and buy our
Mhm.
clothing. And it was good clothing too. It
Yes, it
was really
was.
good. So I enjoyed that space. And then I actually discontinued it around COVID. The Lord kind of led me to go into a different direction. And as you mentioned, kind of in the midst of doing the Nabe, I started Vintage Nights, as you mentioned. So those who aren't familiar with Vintage Nights, it was basically a night of fellowship where there was food. We would bring in different community leaders from different aspects of life that would come and share their stories and how they live out their faith and success. And then we had music, DJ. It was great. It
Food.
was we had free food. It was good food too. Pool table, and we had it uptown off of Magazine Street at a cool little venue. So we would do that, and that was fun. That was awesome because it was kind of an opportunity for me to take something that I had envisioned in my head that I knew the city needed, and bring it to pass.
Oh,
And there was a lot of moving layers to that as well, and I enjoyed it so much. And I know a lot of people that were participating in it were blessed by it, to be honest. So,
geez.
and then kind of after all of that, 2020, the end of 2020, uh, actually that summer I was stuck at home because we couldn't go anywhere that spring and summer. And
Right.
my well, she was my fiance at the time, my current wife,
Whoop, whoop.
Amber. She had told me that she thought I would be great at real estate. And
Wow.
I really told her, I was like, no, I'm good. I'm not. I don't need to do that.
Wow.
And she was studying to get her real estate license as well. So I literally I was praying, and it put the Lord put it on my heart. Hey, just get your license. It won't hurt anything. So I registered for a 2 week class. Took the 2 week class. The next week went to Baton Rouge. Well, actually, we went past Baton Rouge to Lafayette to take the national and state exam, and I passed it. And then I got licensed at the end of 2020. So didn't sell my first house until 2021, and we could talk about that a little bit later. But that's kind of the journey of all the things that you mentioned. That's kind of part of my story and where how I got to where I am now.
Very nice. I want to pinpoint the importance of connecting with the right person.
Oh yeah,
Amber was able to see something in you that you didn't quite see, and look how it led to the here and now, right?
right,
That's beautiful. There are purpose partners, right? And
right,
God you your purpose partner. So
right.
kudos to Amber.
Yes, yes, yes.
And
And
before
that's
we move on, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no,
Go
no.
ahead.
I just want to say that's so huge. Every big thing in my life and every significant thing in my life has been introduced or shown to me through people who I was connected to.
Wow.
And the significance of your connections leads to the significance of what your exposure. And when you're exposed and encouraged in certain areas that maybe you didn't see before, it just opens up a whole new world. So that's a great point. I'm glad you pinpointed that.
Absolutely. And also, weren't you a part of Son of a Saint?
I did serve. Yes, I did serve with some Son of a Saint for a while as one of their mentors. And then I also did work with the Saints as well as one of their assistant chaplains for a couple different seasons. So I was all up in the mix. The Son of the Saints, the New Orleans Saints, the Saints of God, all of the above.
All the saints. No, but that's awesome because I believe all of that was preparing you for this very moment. You have a host of skills, interpersonal, intrapersonal, all of those things that you're using and it's leading to your success. So kudos to you. All right.
Thank you.
Um, so now let's talk about this. Why buy a home? What let's talk about home ownership versus renting. Why
Okay.
should I buy? I'm comfortable in my apartment. Why should I buy, John?
That's a great question, Angie B. So there's a lot of different reasons, but I would say one of the main reasons why you should buy is because it gives you an opportunity to build wealth.
Okay.
It gives you an opportunity to leave a legacy. And when you are renting, once your time is up at the place that you are renting and you've paid month after month after month, maybe you've lived there for 5 years, 10 years, and when it's time for you to go, you don't get a check. If you don't get a check, you might get your deposit check back, but you're not going to get a significant amount of money that you can then take and use for the next chapter of life.
Listen,
Where
if they're giving out checks, I need to move there.
right, right, exactly. And so when you buy, you own the asset and you are able to build wealth. And there's a couple things that come with that. Number one is the way I like to, on a very basic level, it's like every time you pay your mortgage, it's like putting money into a savings account.
Mm.
But it's also like putting money into a savings account that has compound interest
Mm.
because the real estate market is always appreciating. So if you go back and you look over the past 30 years, on average, the real estate market appreciates 4% every year. So that means that the money that is in your asset is appreciating. Some areas and some neighborhoods appreciate up to 5 to 10% every year in value. So what that means is if you buy a $200,000 house today, and let's say it is in a neighborhood that's appreciating 10% per year, in 10 years, that house is going to be worth $400,000.
Wow.
So you automatically are going to gain $200,000 of equity just from owning it, and that doesn't take into account the payments that you've been making. So I think that a lot of people, they are comfortable renting,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it has a lot of layers. So I think one layer is commitment. you know, uh, I understand, like, hey, you're renting, there's really no long-term commitment. If you want to stop it next year, you can stop it, move wherever. But what people don't understand is the same thing that's true for owning. You
Mm.
don't have to own the home forever. I know many people that bought a house here, lived there for 2 or 3 years, and then sold it and moved. But when they sold it, they got a check for 30, 40, $50,000 that they were then able to take, use, and invest in other things. So those are
What?
just a couple of different reasons why I would encourage people to consider owning versus renting.
John, you are swaying me. If I can live in a place and build this equity that you talk about and use it to invest, use it to better myself or push my vision forward, that sounds pretty great to me.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, and I think it's a lot of people are fearful of the process. And that's what my wife and I, were both realtors. We work with first time home buyers, we're first time home buyer specialists. And we just encourage people just to reach out and ask questions. You'll be surprised. I have so many clients that once they realize that they could actually own a house that they like for the same amount of money that they're paying in rent, they can't believe it. But it's really, I think, and we'll talk about this later. Amber and I are planning a first time home buyer workshop, but I think it's just about making sure you have the correct information, making sure you're educated on the pros and cons of owning, and that way you can make an informed decision. Because for some people, if you know for sure you're not going to be here long, or something like that, like you're only going to be here for a year, well then yeah, maybe it might not make sense for you to own. But if you know you're going to be here for at least, I would say, 2 to 3 years, and you feel a peace at where you're living, and you're going to be in that city or in that area for the next 2 or 3 years, I definitely suggest reaching out to a realtor and they're saying, hey, this is how much I pay in rent. What would it look like for me to find a house and own a house and pay the same amount, and just see. It won't hurt you to find out what's out there for you. You don't have to get it, but at least you can know what's available.
And listen, if you are in the local area, sorry,
If
if you're in the
so,
local
it's just
area,
one
sorry,
affirmation
my
for today for everyone, correct?
correct,
Okay.
correct.
Okay. Got it.
All right. So if you're in the local area and you're in the market and you're looking for a home, connect with John. I'll make sure I drop those links later, so you can connect with John. So good stuff, John. Let's move forward. So again, congrats on your accolades. I saw you doing big things. I heard that you were selling $1 million listings, or maybe I'm prophesying it. I don't know, but I saw something where you did big numbers
hmm
in sales regarding real estate.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been very fortunate and blessed. We sold our first house in 2021, and now 3 years later, 2024, we've crossed 20 million in sales, which is crazy to think about. Over 75 transactions that we've been able to help people, assist people with, and we're just super thankful to have been able to do that, and we look forward to helping many more people.
Absolutely beautiful. So I want to talk about what are you talked about you and Amber have some upcoming events regarding first time home buyer or home ownership. Can you talk about some of the programs that may be available or some of the perks for attending y'all's event coming up?
Yes, definitely. So our first-time home buyers and all the information you need to know about home ownership workshop is coming up on October 5th. It's going to be at the Jefferson Parish Library beginning at 9 a.m. From 9 a.m. to 12. We're looking forward to that. So it'll be at the East Bank location off of West Napoleon and Metairie. So we're looking forward to it. What you're going to find out there too, Angie B's point is there are a lot of different programs and grants that are out there for first-time home buyers. The Louisiana Housing Corporation, they have multiple grants that would pay up to 4% of your closing costs and or down payment. There's another loan called the RD loan, which stands for Rural Development, which pays 100% financing, so you don't have to come out of pocket for any money. And there's also several local banks that have opportunity loans where it's 100% financing and no PMI, which is private mortgage insurance. So that's just a few. We have a lot of programs and a lot of different things that are available to anyone that might be interested in buying a home or owning a home. So we're going to go over insurance. We're going to go over the inspections. We're going to go over title work. We're going to go over credit repair. We're going to have a credit repair specialist there that we can connect you with and just take small baby steps to getting your credit to where it needs to be to get you the optimal interest rate. So it's going to be awesome. Amber and I are going to be leading it. We're going to have lenders there in person that you can talk to, credit repair people there in person, inspectors there in person. So it's just going to be an amazing workshop. You're going to leave there feeling empowered, educated, and with a plan, with a game plan. If home ownership is something that you desire, our goal is to help put together a very cohesive plan for you to take action on, and we will be there for the journey so that we can help see you hold up that sold sign and build that equity, build that wealth. And then even from a generational perspective, there is such a huge wealth gap with people of color. You know, in America, our wealth is significantly almost 10 times less than that of white Americans. And a lot of it has a lot of layers to it, but ultimately the biggest reason is because of real estate. The real estate wealth that us as Black Americans were not able to tap into is the main number one reason of the wealth gap. That's the number one reason. So if you are also, it's bigger than just us. It's about the legacy that we're leaving to our kids, our family members, grandkids, and real estate helps set up the people behind us for success. So it's bigger than just us. It's bigger than just here and now. It's about leaving a legacy and positioning those who are to come after us with their resources and the leverage that they need to go further than we are able to go ourselves.
So you're talking about we need to buy back the block.
Yes, we need to buy back the block. And specifically in New Orleans, because we have a very high percentage of renters. And it's just crazy because you have to ask yourself, do you want to pay someone else's mortgage or do you want to pay your mortgage? Because if you are paying rent, you are paying someone else's mortgage. If you own a home, you're paying your own mortgage. So you got to pay either way. So you might as well pay in a way that builds your wealth, your equity, and your legacy.
Wow. This is good stuff, John. This is good stuff. I'm excited. If you want to connect with John, of course, I have his Instagram handle here at John McCann. I'm missing the underscore. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
So John McCann, 2C's, 2N's, and underscore. Or you can go to teammccann.kw.com.
.kw.com. Yes.
Okay. So yeah, this is good stuff, John. This is good stuff. But let's Quintess said, come on, PJ Morton lyric, buy back the block. Say that 3 times fast. All right. So they're in here on IG. I see family, friends supporting you. All right. So
awesome.
Let's keep pushing forward. So, John, listen, I understand having a busy lifestyle. If no one understands, I do. And I can only imagine You're a busy guy selling these $1 million listings. Okay. um, how do you fit in self-care, fitness, etc.? And why is self-care important to you?
Yes. Great question. I think that one of the traps that we can fall into as creatives, as entrepreneurs, as leaders, as go-getters is working so hard to where you stop taking care of yourself.
Hmm.
And on a very basic level, like I just shared this with someone yesterday, I was like, when you look at the NASCAR race car, like look at races in NASCAR, like the car has to stop in the pit stop to get taken care of in order to be optimal when it's on the actual racetrack. And I feel like for us as humans, that's also true. In
Yeah.
order for us to be optimal at whatever we're doing, we have to pause, rest, reset, get refilled. So something that God placed on my heart earlier this year, when we were doing 21 days of prayer and fasting in my church, was that my schedule is sacred. That was the phrase that the Lord placed on my heart, and I believe it's true
Wow.
for everybody.
That is.
Your schedule is sacred.
Hmm.
Your schedule is sacred. So what does that mean? That means that how you plan out your days, your weeks, your months, your year is sacred.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to ask yourself, and what are the priorities in my life? And as one of your priorities should be taking care of yourself, then you put that on your schedule. I
Yeah.
put that on my schedule. Like I put, and sometimes like even like today's a perfect example. This afternoon, I don't I it's self-care. I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go to the sauna. Today's like a Sabbath for myself. I'm going to read, I might go shopping. I'm just going to spend some time with God. But if someone were to reach out to me and say, "Hey John, I want to do, I got something or I need to talk to you or whatever this afternoon," you know what I'm going to tell them? I'm sorry, I'm already booked.
Yeah. That's good.
It's it's easy for us to tell people we're booked when we have a work obligation. It's easy for us to tell people we're booked when we are actually meeting with someone. It's easy to tell people we're booked when we actually have an errand to run. But can we tell people we're booked when we're trying to actually take care of ourselves?
Yeah.
So we have to be able to recognize that our schedule is sacred, and we have to be able to put on our schedule the things that we prioritize and protect you have to protect what you prioritize.
Woo!
You have to protect what you prioritize.
Wow.
So as far as well-being, that's something that I do every morning. I protect my mornings because I want to be able to wake up. I want to be able to work out. I want to be able to journal, read my word. I want to be able to do that because that's a priority for me. So I protect that time. So you have to ask yourself if you really want um, to take care of yourself and to have rest um, and to recharge and stuff like that. If that's a priority for you, then you have to protect the time on your schedule to do that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I'm not perfect at it. I mess up all the time at it. If you say, "Hey, John, I'm going to start trying to do it," it's an ongoing process. But one thing that I live by is that I'm not living for perfection. I'm living for progression, and we have to give ourselves permission not to be perfect.
Yeah.
I told my wife Amber, like, I wanted to start doing smoothies again, to get more fruit in my diet. And was it, yeah, last week or the week before last, we went and I bought all the stuff for my smoothies, and that whole week I made smoothies. So then last week, when she went to the grocery store, she bought some more stuff for me to make smoothies. Yo, I didn't make the smoothies last week. I failed at protecting the time that needs to be in my schedule to make the smoothies. So I
Mm.
share that with you to be vulnerable, to say, hey, you're not going
Yeah.
to be perfect. It's okay to start and not complete it the way you want it, and then to restart and to restart. But the whole mindset is progression and 1% better. If I could
Right.
be 1% better today, if I could be 1% better this week, And if you have that mindset, then it will allow you to be able to continue to grow and be healthy in all the areas of your life that you want to be healthy in.
Nice. I'm looking over at the comments on Instagram, and listen, I Pray Movement, Nola, Jasmine's going in, Quintette's going in. You dropped some bombs just now. You said your schedule is sacred. Oh, like I'm just gonna let that burn. I'm not even gonna, ooh, I just that right there. And then you have to protect what you prioritize. And that's a practice. That's a
Yes.
constant practice. So wow, that was so good, John. That
Uh,
was
I
awesome.
love my I Pray family. Thank y'all for tuning in. Love y'all.
And then I saw your mom here and your brother amongst other people are on. So they're showing love for
Uh,
sure. So we talked about your upcoming. Can you just one more time reiterate in October what you and Amber are putting on for
yeah.
first time
So
home buyers?
yes, for sure. So part of, I think one of the problems and opportunities that we have in our city is just the lack of education and resources. And it's not that the information and the resources aren't out there. It's just there's not a lot of spaces and places where it can be brought to the people that really need it in a very practical, conversational, intimate way. So because of that, Amber and I are going to be hosting a first time homebuyers workshop at the Jefferson Parish Library in Metairie off of West Napoleon in their conference room. We only have 100 spots that are available, but we're going to have all the resources that you need: credit repair, lenders,
Ooh.
inspectors, title companies. We're going to walk through the whole process. We're going to make sure that you get all your questions answered. And if you are, and even if you're like, Amber and I, like, our goal for this fall is to find an investment property that we want to buy. So maybe, and that's still owning a property, owning a home, but whatever boat you're in, whether you're a first time home buyer or whether you own a home and you're interested in buying an investment property, we're going to be unpacking all of that because, as I said at the beginning of the call, that, I love this. When I first got into real estate, I heard it. And when God delivered the children of Israel out of Egypt, where was he bringing them? Where was the wealth of the world and the wealth of the Old Testament was to lead them to the promised land.
Hmm.
Land, like real
Wow.
estate. Like even in the Bible, even in the kingdom of God on earth, the wealth is in the land. And that's why everything you see through the Old Testament is leading them to the promised land. You see all the battles over the land, even until today. All the stuff that's going on overseas is connected back to land. So I say all that to say that, like, owning land and having property is a privilege. It's an opportunity for us, and I believe that we should desire to do that because that is the wealth of the world that has been laid out from the beginning. And as you buy property and as you build wealth, it just positions you to be able to give back, live out your purpose, help other people, and then also leave a legacy that you can pass on. So I want to encourage everyone, if you're watching this and you don't own a home or you don't own an investment property or you know someone, and listen, it's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
Some people that Amber and I work with, it's a 1, 2, 3 year journey. And the journey doesn't have to happen overnight. When you're buying a house, it's a marathon. When you're buying property,
Yeah.
it's a marathon, not a sprint. But we want to be there with you to run the marathon. So it's going to be October 5th from 9 a.m. to noon. If you're interested, we will have the event page up for registration on this upcoming week, next week. But if you're interested, please just make sure to follow me on social media, or you can send me a DM at John McCann _, or you can text me that you're interested, and I'll make sure to email you the link. And lastly, if you want to email me, you can email me as well at john.mccann@kw.com.
Okay. Beautiful, beautiful. Before we get on out of here, this is an affirmations challenge, right? And you dropped a lot of beautiful nuggets, bombs, whatever you want to say. You dropped mics, you dropped everything, okay? What's the positive affirmation for the day?
The positive affirmation for today is I have gifts and I have talents that are meant to serve the world.
Wow.
My gifts and talents can't be boxed in because my God cannot be boxed in.
So I think that's self-explanatory, but what does that mean to you?
It means that everyone who's watching this, God has given you gifts. He's given you talents. And he's giving you those gifts and talents because they're connected to your purpose to impact and to serve others.
Mm.
And the second piece of that affirmation is because he's given that to you, we have to be careful not to allow the world to box you in on what the world wants your gifts and talents to be contained in.
Ooh.
Because God cannot be boxed in, and God gave you those gifts. So recognizing that you have something, recognizing that it's valuable, and recognizing that how it is displayed in the world is open. It's not limited.
Yeah.
It's so many different ways that God can do it, and it's reminding yourself not to put the limitations on the gifts that God has given you because it's from him and he can't be boxed in. He is the source behind that resource.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, John, for
Nope.
joining me on today for this amazing affirmations challenge. Listen, you've heard a lot of great information about why buy versus renting. We need to buy back the block. We need to close that gap of wealth or the wealth transfer that's happening for all communities, but specifically the Black community. And also the importance of wellness and taking care of yourself, making your schedule sacred. Whew, that's still gonna ring within me, amongst other things. So, John, thank you so much for all of the wealth of knowledge that you shared on today.
No,
And you have a wonderful day, and remember to shift your mind into positivity. You have control. You don't have control over the thoughts that come into your mind. We don't have control over our thoughts. They will come. But you do have control over the thoughts that you allow yourself to perpetuate on, the thoughts that you allow yourself to think. All right. Your life or thoughts turn into things. So shift your mind into positivity and have a beautiful day. Bye.